Hi, this is Tracy Bonham, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Tracy Bonham.
Yeah, she's promoting her latest single, Damn the Sky, and we're also anticipating a new single from her, Whether You Fall. What else we got?
We talked a little bit about Modern Burdens that she recorded with herself and some of her friends. It was a rework of songs from her debut, Burdens of Being Upright.
Yeah, fantastic interview. Let's get right to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Tracy, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Tracy, thanks for joining us tonight.
You're so welcome. Good to be here.
Well, finally have you on after about a year of requesting you. You're a hard lady to get on the podcast. So, hey, we got you. So let's get right into this.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, earlier in the 2024, you released your newest single, Damn the Sky. Can you give our listeners a insight to the songwriting process of this track?
Sure. This one is an anomaly. I had never, ever done anything like this before, where I felt something coming. You know, I was in a mood, and I sat down at the piano, and I just hit record on my voice memo thing because I was like, wait a minute, something's coming. And I just put my fingers down on the piano, started playing, started singing, and words came out. And basically, I don't know, this is kind of weird and cosmic, but the song just kind of wrote itself in that one sitting.
Nice.
I've never done that. Usually it's a little bit of work, or it comes in piecemeal. It comes with a melody or some other, idea that I have to put together like a puzzle. But this one was just like soup to nuts.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. Talk a little bit about your songwriting. Do you have like, a set routine that when you sit down every day at 2:00 to play on the piano, or how does it work?
Definitely not. No, I'm not that disciplined, and frankly, I think for me it would become too stagnant. And I've read so many books about, interviews about songwriters who do that. Randy Newman for one, and I love his writing, but I just can't see myself doing that. It has to kind of be magical, and what I just described is super magical, and I'm not going to just rely on that all the time, because then I'll never write a song again.
Very good. When it comes to songwriting and recording new Tracy Bonham music, has your methodology evolved over the years? Is it different now than it was, let's say, 20 years ago?
Oh, yeah. Let's see, when I first became a songwriter, I was it was late. I was in my 20s, mid-20s, and then boom, I had a huge record label deal, contract. And so I never felt like I had the confidence, like, oh, I'm a songwriter. I just was like, holy crap, I've got to follow this up, and it better be good. So there's a lot of pressure right from the beginning. And there was pressure to kind of sound, kind of keep it the same or be as angry as I was, and of course when you mix with the music business folks, there's a lot of that, and the voices get into your head, and all that self-doubt. It's no fun. But when life started to happen in ways that made me realize, I want to start putting out positive messages too, because I feel like my first stuff, I had a lot of beef with this ex-boyfriend and, and my mom, and I, just like I had to work some stuff out, and I still really love that kind of songwriting where, I'm trying to figure stuff out in a raw and edgy way. But I also decided at one point that I wanted to leave, behind a repertoire that had, songs that made people feel good or feel something rather than just angst.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. I'm going to take it to 2023. You also had a single, Too Deep for the Shallow Pocket. Yeah, that was slightly different, too. Can you talk a little bit about the writing of that song?
Sure. That song was, the chorus had come first. I really liked this idea of Too Deep for the Shallow Pocket. And that had been lingering around from when I was writing for Wax and Gold, which would have been the album before. Well, it was in 2015, I think. Yeah. But then it just sat around. That chorus sat around. And then after I started working with a producer named John Lachevsky, who helped me make Modern Burdens in 2017, he's the guy that helped me kind of conceive this album of Burdens of Being Upright, but completely re-envisioned. Yeah. And there was something about that experience where I was less precious, and I was just like, I threw care to the wind, and I was, writing songs or producing songs in a way that I would have probably not wanted to do 20 years ago when I was trying to be cool. Because, when you're trying to be cool, you're really limiting yourself.
Absolutely.
So, so this guy, John, is so fun to work with. And we worked in a program called Logic, and there wasn't a real drummer on there. And of course, in the 90s, I would have, thumbed my nose at that too. But it was so uplifting and such a fun process that I got that song, the chorus, out of the drawer, so to speak, and then decided to finish it and record it with him, and it just ended up being kind of like this dance. I don't know what to call it. Dance number?
Yeah, it had a little bit of a dance beat to it,
yeah.
You're preparing to release another new single, Whether You Fall. When can your fans expect this new single to be released? And I guess kind of give us a lowdown of what to expect sonically from this new single.
Okay. We are scheduling the release, a digital release, for June 21st. It'll be a week before we play the Summerfest festival in Milwaukee. And this song, what I love about the climate and what's happening today is that I'm not being told what to do. So there's no record label breathing down my neck. And definitely this song was on an album before. This song was on Blink the Brightest, which was my third album, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but completely different. It was just piano and vocal, just one take, kind of a sweet little thing. And it became a fan favorite, and it became loved by so many people, including myself. And I felt like, okay, since there's no rules, I want to do this one again, and I want to, like a redo, and I want to make it better, and I want to make it bigger. The song really deserves to be, I think deserves to be heard in this way. It's more powerful. It's got my amazing trio, Alvester and Renee are my rhythm section, and then the end is really what's the most powerful, because it goes into this like hypnotic rock anthem, slightly, there's textures in there that kind of remind me of Radiohead. I wrote the string arrangements to almost be odd and offset, but in a very beautiful way. And I'm so excited for this, and I love the message right now too.
Very good.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that modernizing or re-imaging of songs. Some fans, I remember when Bon Jovi redid, some of his hits that didn't quite go over as well. But I know your album, it's pretty refreshing, and you got a lot of friends that are playing on there with you. Can you talk a little bit more about the undertaking of redoing some of those songs?
Oh yeah, the Modern Burdens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well that was fun, and what a trip that was, because that was not what we intended to do. We set out to make a re-record, just like so many bands when they don't own their masters, and they never will own their masters. There's a lot of people go into the studio and do a re-record, which is like note for note, sound for sound, everything. Try to get the exact replica of your hit album or whatever album it is, so that when there's a licensing opportunity, you can just do the switcheroo. And then you get paid instead of the label, which they're not going to pay you anyway. So that was the idea. And we did Mother first. And then, I don't know, something was going on where I was like, I don't want to do this. I've done it. And it, I'm not going to make it better, or I just kind of felt like I don't want to reinvent the wheel. It's already been done. So financially, it was probably a very bad move, but it didn't matter to me. And with this particular producer I was talking about, John Luchesky, we just kind of got a fire under our ass, and we were like, let's do something completely different. And for me, it was so fun because I wasn't precious. I had so much confidence in these songs because they'd already been out. People already liked them. Yeah. So I wasn't like in the dark thinking, oh, no one's going to like this song. Like, I knew people liked the song Navy Bean or Sharks Can't Sleep. So as we were about to record, then the 2016, it was really the campaign was starting to get just ridiculous. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but misogyny was a big word back then, and it was just like watching the beginning of the longest train wreck ever, right? Mm-hmm. And we decided to invite strong women to come and be featured on the album. So I know it's odd, but I had a lot of these amazing singers, Tanya Donnelly, Rachel Yamagata, come and sing the lead on a lot of these songs, not all of them, because I couldn't let go of some of them. I had to sing some of my favorites. But yeah, it turned into like a tribute album, even though I'm not dead.
Oh, so cool. This era now in the industry of artists, established artists such as yourself, not needing a label any longer. Do you feel as though that working under your own, opposed to working under a label, is the I guess maybe the path for success for you in this part of your career now?
Well, I think in the creative process, yes. I don't want to, I really don't want to go back to that time where I had to get, somebody to come in and okay what I was doing. That's a real, that puts a kibosh on creativity. So I'm really happy to not have anyone, involved in those creative decisions. The problem is the major labels from back in the day, and maybe some of them now, they have money. And so an artist needs money in order to promote, in order to make a video, or even manufacture LPs. And so that's the sticking point. That's really hard. So when I finish this album, I'm self-funding this new album, but I wouldn't sneeze if any label said, that they'd like to help me put it out. But that would be more like a licensing deal.
Understandable. To kind of piggyback on to that question, I guess maybe the Tracy Bonham songwriting vault. With that being said, we talked to many artists that they write and write and write, and some of the songs never see fruition, and they put them in their vault somewhere, and they never come out. And then there's others that use everything they have. They don't have a vault, but for Tracy Bonham, is the songwriting vault fairly full of songs that haven't been released?
I'd say it has maybe a handful.
Oh.
I wish it had more. I wish I had a lot, but I tend to release what I have, and I do have some songs that are just kind of out there on compilations that I'm not sure if they've actually officially been released, but they're really good. So it's not like I don't have like this treasure trove, unfortunately.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Melodeon, if I said that right.
Cool.
And,
yeah, you did.
And working with, trying to help schools and get, the programs that are out there that, are underfunded and stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about that endeavor?
Oh, sure. So yeah, this is one of my love projects. I really, really love music theory. I was classically trained on the violin and piano. And I love children too. And so music education and like the well-being of children is just really incredibly important to me. And so when I actually started to teach a little bit, especially when I got off the road. I was touring with Blue Man Group, and it was, a really extensive tour, and I decided I want to start a family. So I got off the road, and I needed to make some extra cash. So I started teaching, and, not only did I feel, that music programs in public schools, it's just a sad affair, the budget cuts. Yeah. And I grew up with so much at my fingertips. So I've always had this feeling of wanting to give back, or, wanting to share what I had and the experiences that I had with some of the most amazing teachers who not only taught me how to play music, but taught me how to practice, and shared their love and joy for the discipline. And I find that it's hard to that's not evident, especially in public schools. You're not going to see a lot of joyful music teachers. And that makes me sad. So I started to write these songs. They just started falling from the sky. And, I was writing songs about like the major and the minor third, or the do and the do re mi's. And I started teaching them to my students. And I could see how much fun they were having. And so I decided to kind of make this like a music program. I could teach it privately, but I could also go into schools. And I'm still working. Like, we have a lot of content. My partner and I have so much content, and we're going to, create something for schools to hopefully license, whether it's video content or whether it's like, I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out, really. But like materials we can train teachers to go into schools and teach this material, with the main goal to inspire and to show a different way of learning rather than just by rote.
Oh, very good. I wanted to bring this back to modern burdens. We see artists, cover other artists' music all the time. And, for you to re-record everything that you've done, was that a daunting task for you to tackle something like that? We're not talking about just one track. We're talking about all the tracks. How daunting and I guess maybe intimidating was it for you to take on something like that?
I thought, we had so much fun that it wasn't daunting at all. In fact, it was so liberating. It was like I was letting these songs be free, because I think, I have memories of writing those songs, and in the 90s, kind of the attitude that a lot of bands and musicians had back then was literally kind of, it was all about, pretending not to care. I mean, I hate to say it, some of my favorite bands, and I still love, Nirvana. They were a big influence for me back then, but everybody was just kind of doom and gloom, and they didn't want to look like they really were trying. And that I fell into that too. I mean, I just I got stung by that, like, gotta be cool bug or whatever. Yeah. And so when in re-recording it and then having fun and realizing, like, wow, anything goes, those songs are fine, everybody loves those, and that's really awesome. Now let's just have fun and play with them and dress them up. I wasn't actually daunted at all.
As you finished recording Modern Burdens, how hard was it for you to say, okay, it's done, This is the end product. We're walking away from this. And on the flip side of it, how satisfied were you with the end product?
I mean, I was very satisfied with the end product. There were times when I'd wonder, like, what the heck did I just do? I just let everybody else sing my songs. I'm like, step off. Oh. But, some of the, I'm really proud of them too, though. And what I really love, and I think I'm veering from your question, I'm sorry, but what I really loved about that whole process was that I created a community. And, with my sisters who would have been pitted, we would have been pitted against each other back in the 90s too. So there was a real camaraderie and getting to know some of them that I barely knew and some of the women that I already knew. It just felt like a real, I got your back kind of community thing. So that was exciting for me. So I was ready to release it into the world, and it felt, again, very liberating. I can't remember the other part of the question that I totally blew off.
I guess maybe the end product. The end product. The satisfaction of it. Would completely satisfied?
Yeah. Well, I felt really satisfied because of the message. At that point when it came out, he who shall not be named became president. He was already president, and it just seemed like this world was a shit show. I'm sorry if anyone has any other leanings, but I felt really proud of the message because I felt like a lot of these strong women were, heard, or, at least in my world, I felt like we stood strong and we were like, we're not going to take bullshit from anyone. So that's, I think I was just feeling really, really empowered.
Oh, very good. Jeff?
Yeah.
You kind of alluded to playing with the Blue Man Group, and I know you went on tour with them, and you were on their 2003 The Complex album. Can you talk a little bit about playing violin and touring with the Blue Man Group?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that was a trip. That was so much fun. I think it was back in 2002 or 3. I had friends in the band from the Boston days, and they played in Blue Man Group, and they actually were, members of the Blue Man team, not just musicians. And they called me down to record at their East 3rd Street studio in New York City in the Lower East Side. Just to, they're going to put out an album, and they were just having singers come down and sing. And so when I went down there to sing the 2 songs on that album on the Complex, I just made immediate friends with the actual Blue Men, and they were really fun. I mean, hilarious people, nerdy, goofy, silly people with exploding creativity. And so we started the friendship right then, and then they came to see me play at a little club in New York City, and they came right up to me afterwards, and they're like, "Hey, we're putting together a big tour. You want to come out and be featured as, violinist and singer?" And I was like, hell yeah. But they were so generous, and so we worked out a thing where, because I wasn't quite ready to just be like I wanted to still remain Tracy Bonham. I was still putting out albums. I was a little bit nervous that I would be just kind of like, oh, featured singer, who's that girl? So they're so generous in offering me like the opening set for all of those arena tours. And they let me sell my my EPs that I'd self-released, and I made a lot of money doing that, and supported my next album. And they put me on the tour bus with my band, and they put me up at the Four Seasons, just like all the other. That was when they were spending money, of course. But I just felt like a part of their community, and they became like lifelong friends. So doing the shows as they got bigger and bigger was exciting, and everybody was just so wonderful.
Oh, that's fantastic. With that being said, with this climate of sales in the music business, what is your vision when it comes to releasing full-length albums opposed to EPs, or I guess maybe physical product in general?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it can be heartbreaking if I allow myself to really think about it. It's frustrating and sad because, honestly, it's probably not even a smart financial decision to make a physical product anymore, at least at my level. If I was touring and, like in massive stadiums, and I was I mean, even big artists though, I don't think it's lucrative. I think fans like to have something and take it home, which I love, and I miss that. But I don't think it pays the bills, so it's really kind of considered one of these like investments, you know. I really miss the LPs with the artwork and the lyrics, and I know a lot of people do, and it makes me sad.
Absolutely.
Well, we talked a little bit about, you said Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Fest coming up in June. I know you're coming to Arlington Heights, Illinois in June, and you got some other dates between July and August. What can the fans expect with your live shows nowadays?
Yeah. Well, with this trio and also with my new album, the songs they sound more mature, and I don't mean that in a bad way. You know, I still have the rock and the grit and the fire, and when we play some of the older songs or even the newer songs, are still like, you know, we got the fire. But these musicians are incredible. It's the first time I've actually played my songs, my rock songs, with jazz players.
Oh, cool.
And it's such a trip because like they really listen, and this is why I decided to make these guys like my team, my band. I never really realized before playing with them how wonderful it is for musicians to really listen and to be present and to be in the moment and support the artist. No offense to anyone that I've ever played with, but I just think in general, rock musicians, it's not really considered part of the discipline or whatever. It's like we just rock and we play, and there's egos, and you know, it's loud, and you know, there's space. When you get good musicians, like, the reverence for space is really important, but these guys in particular, like, it's just, the musicianship is just beyond anything I've ever played with. And the fact that they just want to support me and the song, and they follow me like a hawk. And it's allowed me to open up and feel more free with my music. I'm also playing a lot more piano these days. And so that's kind of giving more reflection back to my classical roots, playing the piano. I'll take a song. I have a song called Naked that's on my third album. It's a rocker, and it was performed on, you know, guitar. And now I'm playing it on the piano. And halfway through the song, I'll just bust out some Debussy, which to me sounds completely like seamless. I'm sure a fan might just be like, wait, what happened? But it gives a heaviness and like this, I don't know what the word would be, gravitas. I kind of hate that word, but you know, I feel kind of like adult playing this in this way. And then some of the new songs just really lend itself well to this trio.
Oh, so cool. I guess on a practicality level for you in this part of your career, as far as touring and live shows go, do you have like a number? It's like, okay, I want, my goal is to play X amount of shows a year. How does it work out for you now?
I see. I haven't, you know, I want to get back to there. And I think I'm going to be, with this new album, I think I'll start thinking like that again. You know, becoming a mom, and that really took away my focus. Now my son's 13 now, so things are different. But we've had a rough patch in life as a family, so there's a lot of distractions, even before COVID and then COVID. Yeah. So that threw everyone off, and even to dream about playing a run of shows would be like, you know, almost impossible to think about. So I know it's 2024. I feel like I got to get all of those old mindsets, like I got to put them in a closet now and just be like, okay, moving forward, let's go. Let's think about, you know, a tour. I can't be gone that long because of my son.
Right.
But I know that I can start to kind of get the wheels in motion now.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you grew up in the Pacific Northwest, right? In Oregon.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your origins and what got you into music and
Oh, sure. I grew up in a musical family. My mom is a singer and music educator. My maternal grandfather was a self-taught musician and just constantly picking up an instrument and playing it very well. And he definitely was the goofy one, the one with a sense of humor. And he treated music like it was, I don't know, it was a folly, and he made it so much fun, and we were constantly harmonizing. And then my mom, got her education degree. And when I was really young, she and I would sit and watch those educational programs like Sesame Street, Electric Company, and Schoolhouse Rock. And I knew I was going to be a musician from very early because I would see my mom on the stage. She had a lot of like leading roles in the theater and the musical theater. So I was like, well, that's me. I'm going to do that. So it just went from there. And I was, again, I said I was lucky to have so many great teachers, and there was funding for the arts. And I grew up in South Eugene, Oregon, which was like super artsy. And we had the university there, so lots of resources. And, started playing the violin at early age and piano, and it was laid out for me. And my mom, being a single mom until I was like 7 or 8, she just like got me into all of these lessons and, did whatever she could to kind of stoke that fire.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you, and then we'll leave you alone for the evening. I've been listening to this podcast interview with Rick Rubin for the last couple of days. It's about like three hours long, but it was an interesting little part of the interview. He was talking about artistry, and you take a talented artist that everything just comes naturally to them, opposed to a musician that has to work 3 times as hard. And he kind of compared it to, sometimes you can be the most gifted musician and not see the success of a less gifted musician because they're working twice as hard as the more talented one. Give us your thoughts on that, as far as, I guess maybe not as talented but driven, opposed to naturally gifted and doesn't have to work that hard to be good.
Oh man. I mean, that's tough because like, I'm not going to say there's one thing that's better than the other, because, discipline and hard work is, that's what gets people to succeed. And, there's plenty of talented people out there completely gifted who don't work, or maybe, don't even try. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of like what, like that's great and all, but I feel like they're 2 completely different animals, really. God forbid the one that's super gifted would be the disciplined one, and then, would be like, I don't know, pushing themselves. I guess when someone is really talented from the start and it's kind of a natural, and then when they start hearing people say, oh my God, you're so good, they start resting on their laurels. Mm-hmm. And in a way, that's kind of a shame, because think about how much better they could be if they actually really tried.
Exactly.
But I don't know, because it's all about like technique and discipline, and that's one part of artistry, and that's great. And like maybe you're a craftsman, you could become a master when you get the 10,000 hours, and that's wonderful. But there is something amazing about somebody who's, like, whether they practice or not, I'll take that out of the equation, but the one that like really speaks with their art through truth and through presence and can touch people no matter if they've worked hard at it or not. They just have that gift. I mean, that's like a completely different animal, I think.
Well said. We're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that you would like to plug or promote that we left off tonight?
Let's see. No, we talked about the album. We talked about the shows. We talked about Melodeon. I feel like we covered a lot of bases here.
Hey, I think we did, and we finally got you on the Nothing Shocking podcast.
We've enjoyed you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, it was an honor. So this is how things are going to work out once Jeff, the editing ninja over here, gets all my boogers cleaned up. We'll get it out to you and your press people, and please share it wherever you possibly can. Tracy, thank you so much. It was an honor.
All right.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.